Welcome to the Vault Podcast and Reviews, where music still matters. You can check out all our shows at YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and Podomatic. Please rate, review, and most importantly, subscribe. Also, make sure to check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And if you like what we're doing and you'd like to contribute to help us keep the show going, check out patreon.com/The Vault. We're back with another review, but this time it's actually one of our requests. This is Robbie's request.
Yeah.
Go ahead with it, Robbie.
You're always throwing me curveballs, man, so I thought I'd try to punch you out of your comfort zone a little bit and see what you had to say about it.
Oh, but I may have double crossed you on that. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, you're right. First off, about this album, man, it came out in '94, so I always like to think about what else was going on in music in that time, especially in the early '90s. You had like Snoop Dogg and all that gangster rap coming out, and then ICP, and then like these guys being punk as hell. I guess there were other punk acts, but also really like the name of this album, Punk and Drublic. I think that's a good play on words, considering they're a punk band, But yeah, first, it's a good album, man. I know you probably don't feel it, not your kind of style, but it starts off with a nice kick right in the face, dude, with Linoleum, about getting wasted, passing out face down on the floor. That's not punk rock. I don't know what is. Do you like that song? Did you hear it?
All right. Let me just.
You're just letting me go on and say a bunch of good things for you.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, so you're talking about coming out in the the mid '90s, and this is punk rock. So when I think of punk rock, I think of anti-establishment, angry, crazy, ripping.
Black Flag.
Yeah, that Black Flag, Dead Kennedys, and even going like Misfits, even stuff that wasn't so angry but still had an edge, like the Ramones. That stuff is punk rock.
Yep.
I like to call this surfer skater punk rock, because this to me came out at a time when the extreme sports was kind of booming. Like when I hear this song, I think Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. I think X Games. I think
right. And
surfing.
I bet you could go back and watch one of their music videos from the early '90s, and they're probably on skateboards. At least one of them is.
Right. Yeah. And nothing against skateboarding, obviously.
But it is skater punk. I could label it as that.
It's just got this like NOFX just has this this like happy party vibe to them. And when I first heard them, my first experience ever with the band was on the Punkorama compilations years ago. And there was always a NOFX song on there. And, sometimes it was good and sometimes it was not bad. But that was my first experience with the band. I had listened to probably one other album previous to this, and I don't even remember how I felt about that. But as I'm listening to this, I just keep asking myself, is this really punk rock?
Well, that kind of leads me to my next point. They ride that line between, real throw down, kind of screw everything type punk and pop punk. So they kind of like ride a real thin line between it. And, when I say pop punk, I'm talking about like cheesy guitar riffs, catchy, but, they still don't really, give a shit, to put it bluntly, but they still have those catchy riffs and, they still are punk rock. They act like punk rockers. At least they party like rock stars. That's something you don't see nowadays too often anyway.
I will agree with you on that. I did notice that stuff throughout listening. So yeah, I agree.
And they also mix in reggae. They add a little reggae breakdown here and there. One of the last songs on the album, Rico, that's one of my favorite songs actually. It's pretty much a reggae song about for a minute and a half, and then switches right to.
Which I also have no problems with, because for any diehard hardcore fans, Bad Brains, they use reggae in a lot of their stuff. So not complaining about that either, just saying.
I like that. Hey, just good points. Pointing out good points, Also, the drummer, dude, he may not be like all over a huge drum set, but this dude runs 100 miles an hour.
The whole album is very upbeat. I agree.
He's just unstoppable, dude. He's an animal. It's like he's running laps the whole time. What do they call him? Stinky or something like that. He used to take a bunch of acid and he'd get gas, and then they were like, "Oh, you got to get off the tour bus, dude. You stink." So he developed the nickname. They do also have a lot of really like get up and do something type songs like The Cause. Like we don't want fame, or money. It's it's about the punk rock life, and then they do, kind of talk about that, even though you do say they're not what you would consider punk or what hardcore punk, at least.
I think just from a sound perspective, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with anything you said as far as like where they live the lifestyle, the lyrics, or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Sure, yeah, I'm not going to take that away from them, but they just have this sound. Like best example I can think of is going to Sex Pistols. I mean, that's like they're in your face. It's not heavy thrash metal, but they're in your face, and it's unlike anything good. It was unlike anything that was out. And then this, I don't even know how original it is, or how original or how not original it is. That's not what I'm complaining about. I just have that, like, I just cannot. It's too happy. It's too extreme sports, skateboarding, mid '90s X Games. That's like all I can think about. I do have a couple of things though. Like My Heart Is Yearning. That song, it starts off really cool, and then this minute they start singing, I just switch to the next track.
Oh man, I love Fat Mike singing. I don't know, it's not on key, but it's still it fits the music well. They're mixed between like punk and ska. And I love ska. They don't really have a whole lot of horns, but they've got the same kind of riffs going on.
There's some ska bands that are cool that can do it right, and there's others that I guess just remind me of this again, just happy. Like I don't like happy music. I'm sorry.
Really?
Like,
see, I love feel good music, man.
But see, feel good music to me is like hair bands. Like if I hear Motley Crue or Poison, I'm like, yeah, this is fun. But
oh man,
that's fun to me.
You need to grow a mullet and cut the sleeves off your shirt.
I have cut off sleeves. Yeah, I used to have a mullet, like when I was a kid.
Speaking of mullets and people, racists have mullets. But anyway, train of thought. They had that song "Don't Call Me White," which is basically like prejudice. Don't label one group by the color and the sins of their ancestors. Because he's white. And then also Rancid did a cover of this, which was really good too. I don't know if you have really checked out much Rancid, but
So see now, Rancid's pretty punk rock. I mean, they're pretty raw. Maybe not some of their later stuff, but almost everything I've ever heard from them has been pretty punk. So
it was either "Out Come the Wolves" or "Let the Dominoes Fall." One of them came with an acoustic version of that album too, and it was awesome because it's kind of reggae too. They kind of incorporate that also. My favorite songs are the ones you probably hate the most, like the. Yeah,
I didn't like so many of them that I didn't even write them down. So
right, my favorites off this album were "Don't Call Me White," "The Bruise" was a really good one, and "Rico." Because it's got that reggae ska kind of thing going on. Then they throw the punk hardcore at the end of it. But I also like their songs about the government. They're talking about standing up against the government, anarchy. Which to me, that when I think punk rock, that's what I think is anarchy and not listening to the law and just doing whatever you want and whooping ass if you feel like it.
Pretty much.
No authority, no conformity. It's good stuff. Overall, I didn't mind the album. Like I said, I picked it, so I'd obviously heard it before. I would have picked their greatest hits, but it's hard to just review a greatest hits album.
I really don't have much else to say. I think this style just does not fit me. And we're going to do some other NOFX albums. We're going to do some ska albums. I'm not saying this sucks and we're never going to listen to it again because like this is the stuff I want to listen to.
Oh no, I'm
stuff that
I'm literally going to listen to it again. So
right, yeah. And I'd heard NOFX before plenty of times. It's just when I think punk rock, when I get into punk rock, I've already said it before, what I like and what I dislike. But I really don't have anything else.
Well, I wanted to bring up one more thing, and it's not even necessarily about NOFX, but Fat Mike is he's the bass player / singer of the band. He's in a group called Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. Have you ever heard of them before?
Yeah, I don't like them either.
No, man, not even them. They do that cover of Jolene and Desperado. Much too young to feel this damn old. Those punk covers of those like old songs.
I like those songs, but just give me the originals, please.
Yeah, fair enough. I just wanted to bring it up. Oh, also, there was this is old school. There was a bonus song if you listened after the last song. It was like 5 minutes after the last song played, there was another song.
I did not listen to that.
Yeah, remember getting CDs back in the day and looking at them, and you can see where.
Oh yeah, there was a time. There was a time period where like you purposely like went to the last song every time just to fast forward to find the secret song.
Yep, Korn, Follow the Leader.
Yeah, had a good one. Yep. Uh-huh.
I used to do that all the time, but But yeah, I noticed that because I just kind of like let it play while I was doing something, and I was like, oh wow, another song. But so they gave you a little encore there at the end. But I am interested to see what kind of score you gave this beautiful album.
1 star being the worst, 5 stars being the best. I'm going to give it 2 stars.
Hey, that's way
below way below average. But if you can pick 2 or 3 songs out of an album to like, I don't know that you can give it much lower than a 2. Overall, it's not bad. It's just not my style. Right. It's if it's on, I'm not going to cringe and want to turn it off. It's just not something that I'm totally rocking out to. I think for 17 tracks, a lot of the songs sounded too similar. They did have enough of a variety, like you said, with the reggae stuff and mixing up the paces and mixing up the vocals. So there's enough variety to not say all the songs sound the same. But I think when I mean that, a lot of them had the same drum tempo and they just had that same beat and the same riff patterns and stuff like that. So.
I would say the drumming is probably at least like 90% the same with small variations. It's just that almost a blast beat, just just quick the whole time, nonstop. Dude,
the last thing I had too was just like I said, it seems too silly at times, and
that's what I like about it. It's fun.
Yeah, and that's fine, and I get it. I get why other people like having them. That's just not my thing, so that's why I couldn't. It's just a slight knock against it, but that's all I got.
Right, you're not going to put this album at home and pound you down a 12-pack and sing along or anything.
No, I don't even drink, but if I did, it'd probably be George Jones.
There you go. I gave this album a 3 1/4. It's not an album that I would play constantly over and over. It's definitely not one of my favorite albums, but it's got a handful of really good songs on it. And like I said, it's a fun album to listen to. They sound like they're having a good time most of the time, which kind of makes me feel like I want to have a good time. So I kind of buy into it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that's reasonable. That's a overall rating just a little bit above 2.5 stars. So I'm good with that.
Yeah, not too bad. That's about right for a NOFX album, honestly. They would probably be happy with that. I mean, their live album is called We Suck Live. They have a pretty good idea.
And I'm going to drop a little bit of news here. Some people found out that we were reviewing this and told us that we needed to review a different one. So down the road, we will be reviewing another NOFX album. Will this one be as bad as this one? Better, worse, indifferent? I have no idea. But you're going to have to stay tuned to find out. And to do that, subscribe to YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and Podomatic. Check us out on social media. Sign up for notifications on Facebook. It's free. That way you'll never miss a show that way either. And if you want to continue to support us and keep these shows going, patreon.com/thevault. Until the next review, see you next time.